It's Andy coming to you live from the Deep Dive podcast studio. It's a cold and blustery day in Milwaukee, which is why my face is red. And mostly I'm just trying out this new microphone. Let's see if I move it over here a little bit. How's it going, everyone? Hope you can hear me. I just wanted to check in and give you kind of a status update as to what we have published lately and what's coming up on the Deep Dive podcast network, and to talk a little bit about this new microphone and give you a quick tour of our studio. If you haven't yet seen it, the episode 7 of Deep Dive Wine Acoustics just launched, and it is the one that I am probably the most proud of. Back in December, I traveled to Portland along with my Deep Dive The Feed co-host, Aaron Labor, to meet up with Courtney Taylor, the co-host of Deep Dive Wine Acoustics, for kind of a mashup and a live episode that we did from the auditorium in Portland to coincide with the Dandy Warhol's 30th anniversary. So that's a lot of different things that are coming together. And we did our first in-person episode at the auditorium, which was super cool. The previous 6 episodes were done remotely. So I'm in my studio here in Milwaukee, and Courtney Taylor is in his studio, actually in his basement studio. Actually, I'm in my basement too, but he's in Portland. And for this one, we decided to do it in person and drink a bottle of wine in person, see how it went. And I think it went really well. What else is going on? I'm putting the finishing touches on Deep Dive Celebrity Acoustics with Carol Kane's. We're doing our 3rd episode, which is about our shared experiences with Howie Mandel. Hers are a little bit more positive than mine, but they're funny. And that one is coming at you any day now. And Aaron and I are working on the next episode of Deep Dive The Feed. Still coming up with topics for that one. So we're totally open if you guys want to drop a comment and let us know what you think. I think this microphone sounds good. The thing that you don't know by watching these podcasts is just how much work goes into these things. I'm on like my 7th microphone here. I'm going to give you a quick 360 tour of this tiny little room, which I've been told looks bigger in person, but it's quite small, and that's actually on purpose. And the reason that it is so small is because in a DIY studio, you want to minimize the noise wherever possible. I just heard my dog bark upstairs, but if you didn't hear it, that means that the acoustic shielding is working. So theoretically, when we set up all the cameras and all the lighting, it looks bigger than it is, but it's just big enough for 2 people, maybe 3 people. We could make it bigger, but again, that just makes the acoustic challenge even greater. One thing that I discovered when filming episode 3 of Deep Dive Celebrity Adjacent with Carol is that Carol is used to being on the radio and talking really loudly. So we had microphone bleed, which means that she was sitting over here. I'm sitting over here, and I could pick her up in my microphone and she could pick me up in my microphone, which meant that there was some tricky editing that needed to happen. So the reason I'm sitting here talking through this mic is to see if this most recent one does a good job shielding the audio, because you want it to come toward you, not away from you. We'll see if that works. In a typical in-person podcast, there would be 2 laptops, my iPad, another iPhone, a webcam up here, TV, and we're shooting like 7 angles all at once over the internet, which is awesome. It also presents some unique challenges because the software that we use to develop this podcast is called Riverside FM, and it's really awesome, but it was designed for remote podcasting. And that means that all of the audio and video goes to the internet and then comes back to the person doing the recording. Again, very awesome because it keeps everything in sync and there's no latency except for the monitor audio. So if you have your headphones plugged in, you get a lot of feedback back and forth. It's really great for remote podcasts. So when I do the one with Courtney in Portland, it sounds perfect because you can't hear the other person in the room. So we're still going through some growing pains as we figure this out, which is hilarious because we're at like 70 videos between Deep Dive MH370 and all of these other ones. But you have to be versatile and figure out different ways how to do it. So speaking of which, one of the things I want to work on in the next few weeks or few months is a tutorial, if that's something that people would be interested in, on how to do your own podcast. Because the content it can be a challenge for some people, or it can come really natural. The editing can be a challenge for some people or come really naturally. It's a bigger deal than you think. And with this most recent Deep Dive Wine Acoustics one in Portland, which is about 36 minutes long, I would say it took 200 hours of editing. And that's a lot. But it's also a passion project and it's really fun. And I'm really enjoying watching how these episodes and these different series grow. And I appreciate you guys listening and subscribing and liking and leaving comments. Now, if you just heard my dog upstairs barking at me, there she goes again. That means I have not perfectly acoustically shielded this studio. On the other hand, generally speaking, I would make sure she's somewhere where she wouldn't be barking at me and you wouldn't hear that generally. Anyway, it takes a lot of editing to make it look like there isn't a lot of editing, and I think it's really fun. But I would love to share that information with you guys if you're interested. Oh, yeah. What I was going to say is we do frequent calls to action to see if you want to become a member of Deep Dive Podcast Network. It's $2.99 a month, and it's just a really nice, easy way to show your support and allow us to monetize this a little bit, because we put the money right back into the podcast, not just into microphones and cameras and lighting, but also into promotion and advertising. So that's all I got for you. I just wanted to give you a quick tour of this DIY studio, and then in future YouTube lives and in future episodes, we're going to share how to do it. And we're going to keep on going. So we appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe. Please consider becoming a member to push this thing even farther. And make sure you check out the most recent episodes. I really would love to know what you think of this labor of love. And I don't just say that because my friend's last name, Aaron, is Labor, but a labor of love from the Deep Dive Wine Acoustics in Portland. I think it's really cool. It just dropped, what day is today? Thursday. It dropped on Tuesday. And I think it's our best work to date. So thanks again. I'm Andy, coming to you live from the Deep Dive Podcast Network studio. See you soon.